Good afternoon. Oh, I love that. I am Annette Digby, Dean of the School of Education here at Wingate, and you'll have many opportunities this afternoon to applaud everyone who just entered the room. But let's start with applauding our honorees for today. It is my privilege to welcome you to the 2018 award ceremony for the Thayer School of Education. We have so many wonderful students, faculty, staff in the School of Education, and it's always a privilege to be able to recognize those who have earned recognition. We started last year with what we called a pinning ceremony for those who had been officially admitted to teacher education. So this year we have expanded it to include not just those of you who have met that milestone in your professional career, but to those who have been selected to receive special awards, as well as our graduating seniors. We're also recognizing, for the most part, I don't believe they're here because they're out teaching, those who graduated in December of 2017, and yes, they're in the schools, and you'll hear more about that in a few minutes. So we are gathered again to show our appreciation and recognition for a job well done. We do have 3 categories of awards that we're going to be presenting, and if you are an awardee, I see some coming in, come on in and find a seat on the 3rd row, please. And when we call each group, you'll be able to find your spot. We want everyone, obviously, to, there you go, be in the reserved seat. Thank you. Our first group that we'll be recognizing, as I mentioned, are those candidates who have met criteria for admission to teacher education. Then we will move to, again, the Carolyn Gaddy Award, a very special award for a student who's student teaching this semester. And then we will move, as I said, to the seniors who have graduated and those who, well, are candidates for degrees. And if you mess up between now and May, you know, we'll have a talk in my office. So when I say candidates for degrees, I can't officially call you a graduate yet because we still have a few weeks left. Grades have to be posted in student teaching and internships have to be completed. We do have special guests on the platform today. These are our full-time School of Education and Professional Education faculty. At the appropriate time, I will introduce them because they each have a part in the program. I would like, though, at this moment to recognize, just because I'm afraid they're going to be in and out, and to have them here, I want to recognize them. Karen Morgul, Morgan Black, Administrative Assistants in the School of Ed. Now, I don't know how many of you came in the main entrance, but if you saw the food and the reception that is to follow, these ladies are responsible for that. Yes, another round of applause. We also have Kyra Johnson and Rebecca Jones, who is from our student group. We really could not have gotten set up in the length of time that we did today without your help, so thank you. And now, perhaps more important than anything, we welcome our parents, we welcome friends of our honorees, we welcome colleagues of the honorees. Without your support, not only today, but over the last whatever number of years you can put in that blank, without your support, they would not be here today. So give yourselves a round of applause. So with that, we'll get started with the first category. Again, those who have been admitted officially to teacher education in the School of Ed since this time last year when we had our first pinning ceremony. You know, you can declare a major in education, but that's just the first step. Those of you sitting here, those of you who are seniors this year, know that there are many, and I'll say obstacles to overcome. I think that's the way many of us feel with some of the state requirements that you've had to meet. You probably feel that way with some of the institutional requirements, but you have succeeded. You have accomplished something that many people do not accomplish in their quest to become teachers or professional educators in any type of educational setting. And I know that probably parents, you've heard them talk about this when they come home for holidays or whatever, but I do want to remind us all that there are stringent criteria and well-deserved of recognition for those of you who've met this. You have to have a grade point of 2.7. Now, let me tell you, that's not easy to accomplish, is it? Because to graduate with a degree from almost any institution, you just have to have a 2.0. But to get a teacher education degree, you have to have a 2.7. So you have to have that to be admitted. You have to keep it all along the way until graduation. You have to meet certain scores on basic skills test. Now, that's not easy either. There are several ways that those of you sitting here fulfill that. But again, regardless of which way you did, SAT, ACT, the Praxis Core, that was not an easy feat. You also had to have letters of recommendation, I believe from 3 people, that said, oh yeah, that person's worthy of being a classroom teacher and teaching my child out in the school. You did that. You also had to have an interview with 2 faculty, more than likely sitting on this stage. You had interviews with them. And I've had the privilege of being in some of those interviews, and it's not something to be taken for granted. I don't think it's stressful. I think we all have fun. But it's still something very important to get us all thinking about some of the questions that we need to be asking ourselves as prospective teachers. So those of you who are receiving your, and I'm just going to hold up one, who are receiving your PIN, P-I-N, your name badge, whatever you want to call it, that has your name and Thayer School of Education, I challenge you to wear that proudly when you go to your field experiences from this point on, when you do student teaching. We are so proud that you are an ambassador for the School of Education, and we hope that you feel the same way, and that when you're, again, in a public place, fulfilling your role as a student and ambassador, that you will wear this proudly. We have 3 faculty who are going to be presenting or reading the names, and then I will present the pin to you. I'm not going to pin it on you. I can see a lot of problems with that. So I'm going to hand it to you and shake your hand. And again, you'll come over here and go this direction. We are going in the order in which the faculty are seated. I'm going to introduce each one now for those of you who do not know them. And I will not come back between each one. So Dr. Ellis will come read the first 9 names. Dr. Tara Ellis is our history and education program coordinator. She teaches diversity courses, educational psychology, a wide range of courses. Dr. Sarah Harrison Burns is our middle grades coordinator, and she's had the privilege of teaching freshmen multiple times this year. She, again, has a wide variety of experiences and practical experiences that she shares, I know, with our students so eloquently. And then Dr. Melanie Keel, English and Education and Reading and Elementary Ed. So at this time, Dr. Ellis, I invite you to the podium.
Let me say to you, first of all, congratulations. This is no small feat. And as I look over this list and I reflect on my years of education, it gives me great hope and great joy when I think about the classrooms and the children whose lives you'll impact in the future. So without further ado, please come to the stage and be presented with your pin/name badge. Kaylee Apicella. Kayla Gorner. Alicia Brooks. Darcy Brown. Tyler Cole could not be with us today, but we'd like to recognize him still.
I'm not sure we heard that. I did.
Tyler Cole, he's not here today.
Sorry, I was talking.
Richard Collins. Trevor Davis in his absence. Taylor Udy. And Grace Chambers. Thank you, and congratulations again.
I want to join Dr. Digby in congratulating our graduating seniors. You have completed, from what I understand, a job that's very well done. Celebrate this milestone. It's a milestone in your career and in your life. I wish you the very best, Godspeed, and continued success. Congratulations to our newly admitted teacher education candidates. Today's acceptance is a red letter day toward achieving your goal of teaching. It's a red letter day in your life, and I want to wish you the very best as you continue your journey. Will the following students please come forward? Amy Dillman, Macy Estes, Michaela Go, Caitlin Hanley, Nathan Halsey, who could not be with us today, but we want to recognize him. Molly Hudson, Mary Jenkins, Kaylee Lovett, Myra Martinez Rosales. Congratulations.
I would just like to say congratulations to the seniors and those that have been accepted into the Thayer School of Education. You all have chosen a noble profession. I hope you find much joy as you begin your teaching careers, both academically and in the real world. So, as I call your name, please come to the stage. Nini Min, Logan Paris, Melanie J. Patrick, J. Pierre, Aubrey Reap, who's not here. Sydney Schweitzer-Litz is also not here. Mallory Taylor. And I'll also call Gustavo Soto Valdovinos, who's not here this evening, and Davian Washington. They've also been accepted, so congratulations.
Thank you. How exciting. I would like to say that most of your work is behind you, but we all know that's not true. So that's it. All of the graduating seniors are really shaking their heads. But we do wish you well, and we're so excited that, again, you could be here today. You know, I have to take a moment and say, you all look wonderful. On a Tuesday afternoon at 4:30, after you've had a busy day, thank you again for representing us very well and yourselves very well. We now come to a part in the program, and this is kind of in the middle of your program. The School of Education has the privilege of presenting an award to a student teacher, the Carolyn Caldwell Gaddy Award. And this goes to a student teacher who has to be nominated by his or her supervisor. And I'm going to, I think probably I should do this first before I talk about some of the criteria that we have for that award. When we talk about Carolyn Caldwell Gaddy, she was a professor here at Wingate Junior College from 1932 to 1975. During that lengthy tenure, she did serve as chairman of the Social Science Department and in a variety of other roles. I cannot imagine the diversity of roles that she fills, so I'm only going to list a few. Academic Dean, Dean of Women, debate and drama coach, go figure, yes. A lot of different opportunities that she had to impact the lives of future educators. The Carolyn Caldwell Gaddy Award is given to a student teacher who does exhibit the same kind of excellence in teaching and professionalism during the student teaching experience that Carolyn Caldwell Gaddy exhibited during her time of service at Wingate. Now, as I mentioned, the person who receives this has to be nominated by the university supervisor who visits the student teacher in the field, who knows the potential that that person has, not only has for the future, but has already achieved. And as I was looking back at our application for this, I was reminded again of just how stringent the criteria are. And I'm going to take the liberty of listing these because I don't want to paraphrase. So those of you who were nominated, those of you who received the awards, you well deserve this. You have to have proof of passing all North Carolina licensure tests. That's not an easy feat. You have to have a grade point average, or CUME, of 3.25. You have to have letters of recommendation from at least 3 people, and it's specified the different categories. And then you have to write a narrative talking about your experiences as a student teacher and what you're doing to help those students in your classroom during the student teaching experience. And I think it's worthy to list some of those as well. You had to describe your planning, teaching, and assessment skills. Kind of sounds like Ed TPA, doesn't it? Thought so. You had to give examples to illustrate this. You had to explain how you embraced and integrated concepts of diversity into your teaching and the classroom environment with examples. You had to illustrate ways that you use current research to inform your practice as a teacher. You had to give examples of how you effectively interact and communicate with students, colleagues in your school, as well as families at your host school. And you had to talk about the ways that you've become a leader in the school, as well as how you've used creativity to engage all students in the learning process. And those of you who wrote those narratives, I'm sure it was a great time of reflection, but it's also one that's very intensive. So again, you had to be nominated, you had to meet those criteria, and we do have 2 people we're recognizing today. We try to keep this a secret, and I'm not going to ask. I wouldn't put anyone on the spot to know if you know who these are, because I'm going to assume that you don't. So act surprised if you already know. The faculty member who nominated each of these individuals will come and say a few words about each one, and then we'll present a plaque. So we first have a finalist. And of course, Dr. Rebecca Kelleher, who is our elementary ed coordinator, our 4+1 coordinator, our educational studies coordinator, and on and on. Dr. Kelleher will present the finalist, and then Dr. Eddie Case will follow her with words about the recipient of the Carolyn Caldwell Gaddy Award. Dr. Kelleher.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming and sharing in the pride we have in our graduates and our candidates. I'm very proud to announce that our runner-up for the Gaddy Award is Miss Kenzie Hill. She is completing her student teaching experience teaching English at Sun Valley High School. Her clinical educator is Dr. Adam Tarleton, who's also a graduate of the Thayer School of Education. We're very proud to have many of our alumni as our clinical educators now. Dr. Tarleton spoke very highly of Kenzie. He said she was not scared to get in there and work with the students, quickly building a rapport with the students and the school community. And I would agree. Indeed, I observed her design and lead some very challenging and engaging activities, including Socratic Seminar, which culminated in a very dynamic and civil discourse on gun control, something that many of us as adults can't even discuss in a civil manner. And she did a gallery walk in which students discussed propaganda posters in preparation for reading Holocaust literature. Just recently, Ms. Hill signed a contract with Union County Public Schools and will be teaching at Monroe High School for the 2018-2019 school year. We're very proud to have her as a colleague in the education profession. Kenzie, will you come forward?
That's what we all feel, yay.
I have to switch glasses so I can see. I have the opportunity and the pleasure of introducing to you Ms. Paige Miller. She is a middle grades education major with an emphasis in science, is doing her student teaching currently at Monroe Middle School, and her cooperating teacher there, clinical educator there, is Ms. Tracey Miller. If I could just have a point of preference for a minute. Are there any of our clinical educators here today? Would you stand up? I invited Ms. Miller, but I don't think she made it, so can we give him a round of applause on behalf of all of our cooperating teachers? These clinical educators, I hazard to say, probably teach our student teachers as much, if not more, than we teach them in 4 years that we have them in the classroom. So we appreciate what you've done and representing those others as well. Let me go on and tell you a little bit about Ms. Miller, about Paige. So I'm like Dr. Ellis. I started teaching in higher ed a number of years ago. One of the first student teachers I ever remember supervising, I'll never forget sitting down with her when she found out I was going to be her supervising teacher. We sat down for the initial meeting, and the very first thing she said to me was, "Does this mean I have to teach the way you told us to teach in methods class?" I told her 5 times you do, because that's when I was going to be observing her. But in those many years since then, it's sometimes unusual to walk into a classroom and see the things that I know our students have learned from us. That is not the case with Paige Miller, and going to observe her, not just the things that I know or I was hoping she would learn from me in the classroom, but things I know that she has heard from all of us, all these people on the stage, about the best practices for teaching, about how to interact with students, about how to show respect for students. I don't know what else I could say that would mean as much to me as to say that I've recognized the work that we've put in the work that she's doing now, and I appreciate that about her. In science education, we talk about a very specific way of planning and delivering lessons that require starting a lesson with something that's going to be engaging for our students, with following that up with a chance for the students to explore more about what we want them to learn from the class, to follow that up with an opportunity for the students to engage in an explanation process where we interact with them about developing explanations, to go on to elaborate that to other situations, and of course to evaluate what they've learned. I haven't observed Paige a single time when I couldn't map out her following those steps, even without having to see her lesson plans to see that she had done it. She really keeps her students engaged and active, which is saying a lot for a bunch of 8th grade science students. One of the things that I really appreciate Paige as well is that she gets to know her students and incorporates what she knows about them and the personal things she learns about them into her lessons. One lesson in particular that she bragged about was when she had opportunities to talk about watersheds and where water comes from our neighborhoods, to incorporate their neighborhoods and where they were living as well into the lesson. Let me finish with, I got to get this out of the glare, something that Paige said about her teaching, again, that I think speaks well to what she is doing and the potential she has. Paige says, throughout my experience so far, I've been able to start leading our professional learning community meetings when we talk about lesson and unit plans. I share my ideas for assignments and activities with my group and ask them how they think it would work in our classes. The curriculum they used last year is completely different than what we are using this year, so we're all working to create the new material. I have volunteered to lead with this and, of course, to ask them what they think and make any adjustments we see necessary. Of course, we want our graduates to be good teachers, but we also want them to be leaders in their classroom and in their schools, and I'm very proud to say that Paige is definitely doing that, and for that reason and so many others, please help me congratulate her for receiving the Carolyn Gaddy Award for teaching.
I was remiss in not introducing Dr. Case. Dr. Eddie Case is Science and Education Coordinator, and again, as you can see, is a wonderful mentor for our science students. That portfolio that, of course, Kinsey and Paige put together, very extensive, but again, you can see the thought that went into it. Congratulations to you both. Well deserved. We now come to the time where we recognize our fall 2017 graduates, because we only do this once a year, and we certainly wanted them to have the recognition. Yes, they did walk across the stage at commencement, and yes, they should have their diplomas by now, but we wanted certainly to have a record of their accomplishments. Dr. Dawn Price from the music department, one of our music and education faculty members. I don't think we have anyone here, but again, we wanted to recognize what we have is kind of an acknowledgement, again, an after-the-fact congratulations, because they did receive something in December after they graduated, but again, Dr. Dawn Price to recognize them formally today.
First, I would say to you guys that are candidates that have been admitted now into teacher education, I remember interviewing several of you, and I know one of our questions always is, why? Why do you want to do this? And you guys always have the best answers. You're like, I wanted to be a teacher my whole life since I was a little kid playing with the stuff and teaching my stuffed animals or whatever. You know, you guys all have these great stories about why you want to be a teacher and stuff, and we're always very impressed with your enthusiasm. So please keep that enthusiasm going, okay? Student teachers, same to you. You're almost there. Hang in, right? But you can do it, and we're very excited for all of you and your futures. So yes, we want to recognize our fall graduates who may not be here, but hey, it's a great thing they're not here because they're actually working. They got jobs, yay! All right, so they're in the real world, actually doing the real deal, and that's cool because that means the fall 2017 graduating class has 100% job placement. Boom. So we rocked that out, didn't we? So let's recognize these graduates: Megan Chandler, Lindsay Duncan, Travis McGriff, Callie Spa, and Layla Tannick. So please, we'll send them the applause.
You heard Dr. Price mention the word interview again. So far, we've recognized those of you admitted to teacher ed. We've recognized the Carolyn, Caldwell, Gaddy Award winners. And at each step of the way, you've had an interview, right? You will continue to do that because for admission, or for really to continue in the student teaching, most of you have already had your interviews multiple times, and that will continue throughout your professional career. Congratulations, by the way, to those of you who just recently signed contracts with the school systems. I understand that this weekend was very productive for our upcoming graduates. Don't be shy, talk about that, yes. And I would call names, but I don't think I know them all. Dr. Kelleher would give me probably not a passing grade because she came in and she was just naming name after name after name and school after school after school where you all were offered jobs and accepted this weekend. And I lost count, so congratulations on that as well. We now come to recognition of our spring 2018 degree candidates. Remember what I said earlier. You want to be graduates come May the 12th. And it is May the 12th. That's not long, is it? So keep that in mind and work backward and don't mess anything up. Someone you've worked with throughout this entire semester in student teaching seminar, well, I guess starting with orientation, and even before then with Ed TPA, Dr. Janet Jenkins. Dr. Jenkins, of course, fulfills many roles here: mathematics and education, our assessment coordinator. Dr. Jenkins in January was named as Assistant Dean for the School of Education for all of the reasons that, again, we've just talked about and what she brings to the school as a whole. So I thought it appropriate for Dr. Jenkins, I don't know what she's going to say about you, if anything, but I thought it appropriate that she introduce the class of 2018. Dr. Jenkins. I knew I'd forget something. What we have for each of you, don't throw it away until you get out, is a handwritten note from me on behalf of the School of Ed faculty and staff and the professional ed faculty. We want you to know in a personal way what you have meant and continue to mean for the School of Education. And then, yes, we are looking ahead. You will become an alumni of Wingate University. Is that making it real? Is that what you're saying?
We're saying don't jinx us.
Oh. Write an appeal if that happens. We really do. We really are proud that you have chosen Wingate as a place to complete your preparation programs for whatever career you're looking toward in the future. And I was told earlier today that people no longer place things on their walls, so you can put this wherever you choose, but we want you again to look at it and know how much we really do appreciate what you have done and what you're going to do when you get out into your own workplace. So again, that's what's here, and that's what I will be presenting to you. Sorry.
Dr. Digby said she didn't know what I was going to say. Well, most of you know I have some tales. I could tell. Because I've known most of you since you were freshmen. And I have watched you grow and develop, and I have watched you come to this point in your life, and I'm so proud of you. Some of you are going into teaching, and some of you are going to be educators in other areas. Whatever you do, I want you to think about these things. Educators lift up the people around them. They help them to be better and know more than they would otherwise. They provide leadership for those who need guidance. All that is true for educators who are in classrooms with children, as well as those who work in communities and in the business world. The power and value of educators is recognized around the world. Educators, although it may not seem like it all the time, you are respected, and you're respected in every aspect of what you do. Abdul Kalam, you may not know him, I don't know him personally, he's the 11th president of India. He said, "Teaching is a very noble profession that shapes the character, caliber, and future of an individual. If the people remember me as a good teacher, that will be the biggest honor for me." With his words in mind, it is with great pride that I announce the next generation of Wingate University educators. If you'll come when your name is called. Amanda Versa. I don't see Bruce Borman, but I want to recognize him anyway, so Bruce Borman. Jessica Daniel. Shannon Futrell. Kimberly Gilbert. Yasmin Gomez-Hing.
She has her name tag on from last year.
Caitlin Halbert. Lindsay Haveman. Kinsey Hill. Lauren Kaiser. Brittany Mangum. Ilian Marbun. Paige Miller. Jenny Mills.
I lost her.
Shannon Moore. Melissa Morgul. Hannah Overcash. Allie Reitzel. Shannon Rose. Kelly Shiverdecker. And Anna Yosef.
Thank you, Dr. Jenkins. I will have to say the group of seniors this year is the group that I really got to know well when I first came. You all are going to be missed tremendously. You've had a tremendous impact upon the School of Education and the Wingate University community as a whole. And I don't say it lightly. You all teach us every day, just like we teach you. Melissa Morgul is doing an internship, and she doesn't know I'm going to say this, in pet therapy for part of her educational studies degree. I knew nothing about pet therapy when this semester began. I still know very little, but I have learned so much from the research, Melissa, that you have done and our bi-weekly conversations. Again, Melissa is only one. I just singled her out because I can get by with it, maybe. She's the only one I give a grade to this time. No, I'm teasing you. But it really has been a joy to work with you as seniors and to see where you are headed. And we wish you the very best. And I do appreciate Dr. Case mentioning our clinical educators. Without you, we couldn't do it. As Dr. Case said, and as we all know, it's every day that you're with our students. And we have so many students doing field experiences, so many students doing internships and student teaching. And we really appreciate your opening your doors of your classroom and sharing your expertise with our students and with us as well. So again, congratulations to everyone. We look forward to May the 12th and all of those festivities. But one last round of applause for everyone right now.